The state GOP party leader is clearly divisive with jamming things down the GOP's throat, like a purity test. We can go back a couple years where he demanded to be called "Let's Go Brandon" on the ballot. I mean, it's just little things like that that build up, that start to steamroll people's voices quiet.
For those who might not know, Dave Williams, the party, put out a questionnaire for people who were running for office under the Republican banner. And if they wanted the endorsement of the Republican Party, you had to answer this questionnaire. The questionnaire was self-aggrandizing. Said, do you denounce Americans for Prosperity? And of course, the guy he's running against worked for Americans for Prosperity, putting candidates in a position of, do I want the endorsement? If so, I got to say this and I got to kiss the ring. I've never seen anything like that in Colorado party politics. Now, I haven't been a Republican for a long time, and I feel pretty good about that decision now.
Yeah, many of us are second guessing why we're still in the party. Because who wants to be associated with the bat crazy people?
So how does small town politics work? We're going to find out from a mayor. But first, remember to subscribe and like to this channel. Click on that little bell icon. Find Devil's Advocate podcast on your favorite platform. So, Mitch LaKind of Monument, did you go to like little mayor school?
I actually put a patio cover on my house, and in exchange, they let me be mayor.
A cover over your house?
A patio cover. My new home didn't have one. It faced west. I went through the process of actually getting a patio cover through the town's permitting process. And the next thing you know, I have people saying, you should volunteer for a board. You should run for office. And that is how I became mayor, by spending a lot of money and time on a patio cover.
How many people live in Monument, Colorado?
Right now, probably around 12,000.
All right. It's on your way to Colorado Springs. You go over the big hill, and there's Monument, and you blow past it, and you go into. Actually, it's growing by leaps and bounds.
Mm-hmm.
What does the gig pay? This is a full-time thing. You get like a salary and a car, and a staff.
I have no people. I have no vehicle. I have a town staff that gets paid, but myself and the entire other 6 members of the town council, we do not get paid anything.
What about in graft and bribes and extortion?
Well, we're on the air. I have to show that to you later.
All right, we'll talk about that. So Colorado is fascinating in that its power is in local government. That's beginning to change as the state legislature is trying to centralize power, like Washington does on the federal level, Denver is trying to do on the state level, trying to bring as much power there. You guys just had a fight to become a home rule city. Explain it.
Well, so Monument was statutory for the better part of its 145 years of existence. In fact, this year is its 145th anniversary of being a incorporated town. And it's the 3rd time the citizens have voted in probably the last 30 years to become home rule. And one of the main reasons why there was this direction to go that way was to, what we thought, take ourselves out from underneath the thumb of those in Denver.
For those who don't know, if you're a county or a city, it's written in statute how you operate, what you do. These are the rules you follow, and the state sets those rules. Home rule cities, if I have this correct, they get to write their own rules. So that Denver and a lot of big cities have become home rule cities, which you can do constitutionally with the vote of the people. And it means you guys write your procedures, your rules. I have that mostly right?
Mostly right. Right. There's a lot of things that we can't get out from underneath, like the Constitution, both federal and state. But a lot of the statutory code we can rewrite. Depends on how things are written from a Colorado revised statute. We can't override, let's face, for example, 2A, Second Amendment issues. We have to follow.
Oh, sure you can. Just be bolder.
We can get more restrictive, but we can't get less restrictive.
Right.
But most of Monument is of the mindset, come take it.
Why is it important to be home rule? Would you say that every town and city ought to be a home rule city?
As a matter of fact, I do. The main reason is zoning. The town has the full authority to deal with land use issues as it sees fit, as the community sees fit. The state legislature over the last couple of years has proven they don't want us to have those abilities anymore, and they've been trying to take those abilities away from us. Things like ADU as a right,
Additional dwelling units.
As well as
Otherwise known as the mother-in-law house in your backyard.
correct.
Yeah.
But there's other things such as occupancy limits. They got rid of occupancy limits without any thought about what would happen to existing infrastructure that's in the ground. Got rid of parking limits. They are doing everything they possibly can to take those rights away from the elected members of the community in order to tell places like Grand Junction, Durango, Lyman, they think they're all the same, right? They're not. Everybody's different from Denver. And if they want to create those rules for Denver, they should just go and tell the Denver City Council, this is what we want you to do, and let them vote on whether they want to do it or not. But they shouldn't tell Colorado Springs how to behave or any of the surrounding municipalities up and down along the Front Range, because that's what they're doing.
I've never seen such an effort to centralize power. And I've been in Colorado nearly all my life. And I've just never seen this idea that we need to centralize power to make sure that we at the legislature control. And Colorado, even geographically, is so very different. What happens in Eagle County is not going to be the same that happens in Kiowa County. That's flat. It's not going to be the same thing on the western slope. Is becoming a home rule, does that solve all the problems?
No, I don't think so. There are some rules that we would have to create in order to, well, not to mention spend money on, right? So if the state legislature decides to create an unfunded mandate, you're going to impact the places that you picked on, right? Kiowa and Eagle and the Western Slope, they all have different budgets. And some of these things they just can't afford to implement or even report on. You can get down to that part of it, but being home rule won't change that, won't negate that. If they say we have to do something, they create their little guidelines. For example, these transportation zones, right? Which is where they want to do 40 dwelling units per acre, right? 40 dwelling units per acre. It will impact Boulder. It'll impact places like Golden. I watched their testimony. It'll ruin those budget-wise, and because they have to do these reports, whether it's every 1 year or every 3 years, it won't matter. They still have to spend the money on it, and the state's not funding it. And then someone's going to come in and say, I want to build a 20-story high-rise, and because it's going to be the state telling you how to do your zoning, you're going to impact.
I think about it in terms of what they're doing to transit. New Jersey and some eastern places, the transit agency is run on the state level. So you're down in the south of New Jersey and you want to complain about your bus route, you go up to the Capitol and you have to wait in line and you try to get, no. When you have a government close to your vest, you see that guy in the grocery store and you can talk to him right then and there. I want to talk a little bit about immigration because you became a international celebrity for what is it you said? I want to make sure I got this correctly. We need to round up all the migrants. And no, what is it that you said that caused such a big deal?
I don't know how it happened. We followed suit with the county. We wanted to be in lockstep with El Paso County and Colorado Springs, declaring non-sanctuary. So
the small town of Monument, you wanted to say, hey, Monument is not a sanctuary city. It's not a sanctuary town. If you drop off migrants here.
Yeah, we can't help. And
you can't help or you won't help.
We can't help. No one ever said we wouldn't. We just don't have the budget. The town of Monument's budget's right around $12 million a year. And we are the first stop through county line, right? So as you're coming south on 25, Monument is at the top of El Paso County. We wanted to make sure that Mayor Johnson knew, do not bring them south. We can't help. At 7,000 feet, it would have been as inhumane as what they are doing by kicking illegal immigrants or migrants or whatever word of the day, newcomers they want to use. We can't help. We have no place to put them. We don't have the resources. It was not in our budget. We have the same rules and regulations around Tabor as everybody else does. Sorry, keep them. And put them on a bus and keep heading south. 25 goes all the way to the border.
So El Paso County, in which your city resides, the commissioners there put out a statement, we're not a sanctuary county.
Correct.
Colorado Springs did the same thing.
Mm-hmm.
And Monument, this wonderful little small town, did the same thing. But yet you're the guy on Univision and Fox News. Why? What happened?
I really don't know. No one's told me why. All I know is that within a week of that story hitting, my phone and email was ringing off the hook by booking agents to get on their shows. And even yesterday, Newsmax wanted me on a show with a mayor up north regarding immigration, and I turned it down.
What do you want to do with all these folks that are being bused to Denver?
They need to be deported if they are illegal. If they are illegal, if they're through the asylum process, they have a legal mechanism to be in the country.
I think most of them are on a legal asylum process, which of course will take years, and they'll have children, and they'll be integrated into society by the time even a trial date comes up. So your fellow mayor, Michael Johnson is there. He's got tens and tens of thousands of migrants being dropped off here. And you, being so evil, are saying, we don't want them here.
Right.
Mike, it's a you problem, it's not a me problem. But isn't the difference that he's just in a bigger city and you're in a smaller one, and therefore it's easier for you to say, we have no services?
He's in a bigger city that declared themselves sanctuary. He invited them. The mayor or the governors of Texas and Florida have no problem putting people on a bus and sending them to places where they're wanted, where they're accepted. And he has shifted his budget away from his citizens, his actual U.S. citizens that reside in Denver. And he has put that money towards whatever issues he has to deal with money-wise to house these people, to feed these people, to shelter these people, right? Those are decisions that he can turn off also, just like the president can flip a switch and turn off the border. And he has chosen since becoming the president to remove the previous administration's border control policies. Talking about Biden.
But what about Johnson? He doesn't have much choice, does he? It's not like if the city council of Denver reversed their policy. And we forget this.
Right.
It was the city who first said we're a sanctuary city. Yeah, so we're not going to work with ICE. We're not going to work with anybody to bring migrants in, illegal or not. Therefore, you're asking for it, but sooner or later, these people are going to be shoveled around any place, and Denver is a good stopping spot. What would you recommend to Mike? Say, hey, fellow mayor, we're both big town mayors. We're both strong mayors. We both have.
No, I'm not a strong mayor in my town. He is. He's one of the strong mayors. Form of government, right?
Right.
I would say focus on your citizens first. Do not defund your police, because those are the very people you need to make sure that even the people that are here under a program, they need policing also, right? You can't leave them to their own devices. I mean, there's people that get hurt, and if you're going to take $9 million out of your police budget to go towards something else, I would send him. I don't know how he can do it. I know I keep hearing that the federal government's not refunding him the money. I don't know what my suggestion would be. I'm just thankful that I don't have to make that decision.
So what happens if tomorrow morning a bus pulls up in front of your house, drops off 80 migrants? They can't speak English. What exactly happens then in Monument?
I don't know that Monument's the right place to do that. We have
we
have ICE agents that live in the neighborhood. We do.
So I'm forcing this on you.
Yeah.
They appear one day. They just appear. What happens?
I guess they disperse, but we would let the federal agencies know, regardless of the state. The state law is you can't get involved with the federal agencies also now. So it's not just Denver. But we've had conversations. I would call Office of Emergency Management in the county. I would have the police, our local police, get involved with the sheriff's department. I would have them call ICE and any other federal agency anyway, regardless of what the state's laws are about it, because it's a dumb law. Since when do we not cooperate with the federal government because we pick and choose the topic that we do? Are we going to stop, for example, supporting the FAA when they want to control our flight paths in and out of the state? Or is it just marijuana and illegals that we have to have laws to block us from cooperating? I mean, it's sort of silly that we're ignoring federal law.
Colorado Springs is no different. The county is no different. They're not welcome. Let me ask you about the homeless infestations you have in Monument.
Right.
I can't go down to Monument without tents everywhere, people sleeping on the streets. It's hideous. It's a third world country, is what I've seen.
It is. It's sad because we have the train. We have a train that comes through town, and we see them hopping on and off the train on a regular. I don't know where they're going or where they're coming from.
I'm joking, by the way.
No,
Are there?
So am I. No, we don't have a homeless problem. There's an occasional tent that shows up along CDOT's right-of-way. It's sort of hidden. We've got a couple of on-ramps and off-ramps, and people see the tent, and it comes and goes. Never heard of any problems with them. But it's not like a city has grown out of it. It's certainly not like what these encampments are that are showing up on college campuses with tents everywhere. It's one tent. Couple RVs maybe break down on occasion at a gas station truck stop, right? But we don't have a homeless problem per se, where people are living on the streets or living in tents.
Well, why not? Why is it that Denver has it, Colorado Springs really doesn't have it, your town doesn't have it?
Well, it could be because they're being invited, and that's where they're being dropped off. Like I said, the governor of Texas, governor of Florida.
I'm not even talking about migrants.
Okay.
I'm also talking about homeless. Good old American homeless. Good Americans who are living on the streets. You don't have them there. The Springs doesn't have them there. My suspicion is because the Springs enforces the law, and if you break the law, a homeless person gets the choice between going to the homeless shelter and having to deal with a great system they have there and force them to get clean, or go to jail. It's amazing when you enforce the law how that seems to take care of the homeless issue.
Well, we do enforce our laws. I mean, I don't know. We are, thankfully, we don't have a crime-ridden community. Pretty, speeders, things like that. Oop, they ran a stop sign. We don't have the crime that Colorado Springs does or Denver has, thankfully. And I don't know why that is. Maybe it's because we're at 7,000 feet. Maybe it's because people who earn the amount of money that they do in order to live in a community like Monument, they don't commit those crimes typically. Maybe they're...
It's an affluent place.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, the mean average price of a house is approaching $800,000.
You're kidding me.
No.
Oh, freaking one percenters.
Exactly.
Talk to me about small government. People follow the state legislature. They follow Denver. If you're in Colorado Springs, you follow Colorado Springs. But government is local. Government is small. What is the biggest challenge for small government in Colorado?
I think right now is the biggest challenge for small government is actually watching their back, watching their six, because of what's happening in the state legislature. I think that they can manage very efficiently what they need locally, such as water issues, roads, and development. Those are things that people are looking to us to make sure we manage properly, and their tax dollars, right? But what we can't control, because the voice is so outnumbered up at the state legislature, we cannot control what they're going to do to us. My Mayor Pro Tem, Steve King, and I, we sit on legislative committee. We speak to our representatives like Senator Paul Lundeen and Representative Don Wilson. We work with PPACG as part of the Pikes Peak Area Coalition.
PCAIG? Is that
Pikes Peak
some
Area
sort of
Council.
lesbian gay organization?
There's rainbows.
There's rainbows.
Involved. No, it's Pikes Peak Area Council government. So all of the governments within PPA in the region are represented, and we deal with regional issues, legislatively or not. But what's happening in Denver is causing all of us to have to work harder for free, mind you, because you had asked me how much we get paid. So we are all working basically two jobs. One, making sure the local government is operating the right way, but also we have to protect ourselves from what's happening up in Denver.
You talk about not getting paid. Part of what I want to do is tempt people to get involved in local government. Kathleen Chandler here runs our Citizen Project and helps people get involved on boards and commissions, and it's terrific. Somebody's watching this, listening to you, going, "Good God, what a loser! Who would give up his time to go down to the Capitol, not to be listened to, and have to go to endless meetings?" When I was on the RTD board many years ago, it sucked
Oh, it's
up.
your fault.
It's all my fault.
As long as it's going to Boulder, where you live, you're fine with the light rail, right?
No, not even close. If I had my choice in light rail, it'd just go over a cliff.
Right.
But I just remember it took a lot of personal time, and you're dealing with people who get paid for their professional time. I remember going into meetings, corridor meetings, and CDOT has their 3 people, they're all paid for. The cities all have their 2 or 3 people, they're all paid for. The consultants who are coming in, they're all paid for. And I'm sitting in a room of 40 people going, I am the only person not making a penny for the next 4 hours I'm going to waste doing this. What is the payoff to get involved in local government? You got to push people around, I understand that.
Well, plus you said there was all that stuff going on in the back with the developers. Yeah. So for some of us, like I served in the military for 9 years. I didn't get paid that much when I was in the service either. I wasn't getting rich as an enlisted person in the Navy or the Army. So it's more of a passion of serving people in general. So, defending the country, now defending the town. I don't care about the money. I have a good job. I get paid well. And I have free time as an empty nester to donate to the town to make sure the right things are happening locally. It's a stretch to put us, the longer hours that we put in to deal with things in Denver. I think last year we sat over 12 hours waiting for our turn to testify on a Senate bill. I'm working
for your 2 minutes that you can testify.
2 minutes, yep. I had one screen tied to the Zoom channel for the legislature, and my other screen was work. And, but someone has to do it. If nobody does it, money or not, we will eventually get rolled over by those people trying to centralize power both at the state and the federal level.
Is it rewarding enough? People are watching this. I want to tempt them to do more of what you do, which is to give their time for some common sense inside local government. Otherwise, the people who want to control your lives are naturally drawn to local government, naturally drawn to boards and commissions, because they love to tell other people how to live their lives. It's not in my nature to do that. So why go on a board, a commission, a city council, and fight this leviathan of people and staff who wake up in the morning because they know how to solve the world's problem with just a little bit more government action here or there?
I like being in this referee position, right? Because sort of you said, you're in the middle. You've got staff who want you to do one thing. You've got other forms of government, higher levels that want you to do other things. This is, you got to have some level of common sense. You got to be able to hear both sides. You can't pit one another against each other. I really believe that doing this for my residents is important, because I think I bring common sense to the table. We don't spend money lavishly. We try to get more dollars where we can to deal with the pet projects that we need to get. We work with staff to make sure they're not pushing too much on the council or the people. Keep reminding them to let them know that we are all working for the residents of our municipality. I'm pragmatic in the way I think about it too. I want to hear both sides. I may not agree with one or the other, but what I won't do, like so many others that are getting involved in politics, is jamming things down people's throat and yelling at them and being divisive.
Give me an example.
Our party leader, You want to go down that path?
Okay.
The state GOP party leader is clearly divisive with jamming things down the GOP's throat, like a purity test. We can go back a couple years where he demanded to be called "Let's Go Brandon" on the ballot. I mean, it's just little things like that that build up, that start to steamroll people's voices quiet, right? Because they don't want to hear from this. This is crazy. That kind of talk is crazy. And the purity test, I don't even get.
So for those who might not know, Dave Williams, the party, put out a questionnaire for people who were running for office under the Republican banner. And if they wanted the endorsement of the Republican Party, you had to answer this questionnaire. The questionnaire was self-aggrandizing. Said, do you denounce Americans for Prosperity? And of course, the guy he's running against worked for Americans for Prosperity, putting candidates in a position of, do I want the endorsement? If so, I got to say this and I got to kiss the ring. I've never seen anything like that in Colorado party politics. Now, I haven't been a Republican for a long time, and I feel pretty good about that decision now.
Yeah, many of us are second guessing why we're still in the party.
Really, why? Tell me more.
Because who wants to be associated with the Batsh crazy people, if you don't mind me saying that? Their freedom of speech, right? The First Amendment, the foundation of our it's the first one for a reason. A person who says they're a Republican should be able to say and do what they want within the party's platform and not have to have somebody at the state level say, no, you can't say that and still be a person in the party.
Give me the example. Where is he saying you can't say what you want to say?
Well, I think if you're not kissing the ring per the purity test, you've said the wrong thing. So therefore you don't get the endorsement.
Don't get the endorsement and you don't get any money from the party.
Well, they don't have any money anyway.
If they had money.
If they had money, because they're being outraised, they're not getting anything from the national party, right? They haven't any money. The only money that I've seen come in is, and you can go look at the FEC website, is the money they took from the candidates that were running for the primary. And those that dropped out, they didn't get their money back.
You're talking about the presidential candidates.
Presidential
In order
primary.
to be on the presidential primary in Colorado, candidates needed to pony up to the state party. I think it was
$40,000.
$40,000.
Most ever.
Most ever.
As far as I can tell and what I've read, it's the most pay to play that any candidate has ever had to pay was in Colorado.
So you have to give 40 grand to the state party, and then the state party allows you to be on the Republican primary. Now, a lot of these folks dropped out after they paid their protection money, and they couldn't get it back.
Right.
It's a clever way to do some fundraising.
It is. I mean, I'm not a fundraising person, so I wouldn't. I asked friends and family to help me become mayor I got a few $1,000s here and there, and that was great. It was very generous of them.
As a Republican, what do you want to happen? We got your chairman, not mine, is running for Congress, as he's also the chairman, which is supposed to be the guy who's running the primary. It's nice work if you can get it.
Right.
What's the solution?
Well, I wasn't here the last time this happened, and I don't remember the gentleman's name.
Bob Beaupre.
Thank you. He, as I understood, stepped down from his party position.
He stopped being chairman so he could run for the newly created 7th Congressional District.
Okay.
Which he won by 200 votes.
Oh, steamrolled him.
Steamrolled him.
I think that it would go a long way for Mr. Williams and his campaign if he did the same. I don't know that he and Mr. Crank are all that different politically. I think I've seen the statements that have been made where they stand on the issues. One has Trump's endorsement, one doesn't. Whatever. That doesn't sway me. I'm not looking for who the endorsers are. I'm looking to see if what they stand for and how they portray themselves is who I want representing me, right? But if Mr. Williams were to step down from his role as state party chair and disconnect himself from all of that and just run, I would have a lot more respect for, because you're not supposed to do that. It just does not give you the appearance of, well, it doesn't look good. The optics are bad.
And also, the idea of the party is to run primaries. This is to find out who's going to represent your party in the fall. And you shouldn't pick winners in that race. I've never seen it happen where the party decides we want this guy to run. People always say, well, they should vet their candidates better. Well, that's not the party's job. It is the people who vote in the primary elections. That's their job, to vet the candidates. And then the party has to help that guy get over the line.
In the general.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Who do you think's going to win in that race?
I think there are a lot of moderate voters in the district, meaning that they don't like the fringe. I think they think, plus we have more unaffiliateds, which who knows what side they came from at the time, right? So more unaffiliateds than Republicans and Democrats. Given that it's never gone to a Democrat before since the district was created, I would have to say, because Mr. Crank does not come off as fringe, I think he'll win.
What do you hope happens to your party? I know you're a small town mayor, but you're still a Republican. I don't know if you have other ambitions. Most mayors do. Your last mayor is now sitting in the House of Representatives. A good guy. Both of you share a wonderful hairstyle, which I think other people will be wearing in the future.
My whole council, those of us that identify as male are all bald.
Testosterone's a beautiful thing.
Actually, wait, we have one that's not, I think. He's the outlier.
Yeah, he's faking.
He's
faking. How would you want to see the party fixed, if at all? Personally, I think the party has to continue to disintegrate until it can get to the point where it's washed away and it starts anew. I really don't see any other way that this ends well.
Well, I think the first thing they need to focus on is economic growth of their citizens, job stability, sectors that have been getting offshored for many years need to come back. And they need to stop with the social issues. The idea that the party of Reagan, which is to have less government intrusion, they want to get inside women's doctors' offices. They want to get inside behind your bedroom closed doors. All of these social issues, they're losing on them. I mean, even former President Trump has come out and made his statement about the abortion issue. Get over it. People need to know that you are going to make sure that their community is safe, that people can feed their families, that they can have jobs that are going to be secure and not be offshored or sent overseas or just disintegrate into some AI ether, the ether. But if you're going to continue to die on that hill where you're worried about what clothes people wear, who they're marrying or divorcing, or anything else related to social issues, if that's where you're going to continue to lose, because the country has shifted and people are going to have to start worry about what's in your house. Don't worry about what everybody else is doing.
The country might not have shifted. The state has shifted. I will talk about Colorado.
Okay.
That Colorado is not just a pro-choice place, it's a downright pro-abortion place.
Right.
And if you are an anti-abortionist, I get the passion, I get the reason why you fight. You're not going to be able to win on the supply side of this argument in Colorado. It will not happen. Maybe 10, 20 years from now, it might be different. As it is now, that's not going to happen. Your efforts should be on the demand side to convince women to keep their child. This is a pro-pot state. I don't see that changing anytime soon. It's a pro-LGB state. I'm not certain it's a pro-T state, because I don't think the state is as woke as the left in the legislature seems to think it is. Colorado is a pro-environmentalist state. But it's not pro-tax, it's not pro-regulation, it's not pro-crime, it's not pro-in your business on everything you do, right down to whether or not you can use a plastic bag. That is not this state. And I think there's so much room for free market conservatives to be able to win. but they will not win if they keep wrapping themselves around issues that, right or wrong, simply are not going to win in the next decade or two.
Right. And I've talked about this with friends on both sides of the issue, these issues, these social issues in general. If Republicans want to win or legislate those issues, they have to win first. If all they're doing is screaming into the Twitterverse about their thoughts on these topics, that doesn't help. You got to get your foot in the door. You've got to be, I hate to say it, you got to be nice to your fellow human, regardless of where they stand on these issues, and get elected. And so many of these people, in my opinion, they're not electable, and they're not somebody I want representing me.
Well, what I am looking forward to is this idea that the reason Republicans lost is because they haven't been Trumpy enough. And that might be the case in many states. That is not the case in suburban Colorado. Maybe in rural areas, not in downtowns, not in suburban areas. But the idea that, this is what Colorado wants, I don't see it. Go ahead, run, prove me wrong. But it's going to be time to rebuild sooner than people realize. This is a low point for the Republican Party, and I've been here since I was 6 years old.
Way longer than me. I just got here 6 years ago.
What are you doing in politics here? Get out of my state.
I was trying to bring some, I told you, it's a patio cover's fault.
The patio cover.
I did.
All right, last question. What is it about local government people really need to know? You're out there, all the attention's on Trump in Washington, it's on Stormy Daniels, it's might be the governor or mayor of Denver, but what is it they should be looking at? Why is it important?
I think they should be looking at the people who you can engage, that want to be engaged, and want to talk to you about the issue, your personal issues. I mean, the local government is at your door, right? You go knock on that door and you want to talk to the people. You don't talk to them about what's going on in Denver. You have no control. You don't talk to them about what's going on in Washington, D.C. You have no control. I have control with my council members over things that are right outside their door on their street. And it gives them that voice.
Including zoning, including what businesses thrive versus starve, and including your kids' education with your local school district. It is amazing. We have 5,000 local governments in Colorado and growing, and rarely do any of them get the media attention or citizen attention that they deserve. So, hey, Mitch, thanks so much for doing this. Thanks for serving, and I look forward to seeing you on the next bus ride down to Colorado Springs.
So thank you very much. Appreciate it.
If you enjoyed that conversation, by all means, click one of these other great programs. We have the best conversations with the most fascinating Coloradans. And subscribe to our channel. Just click down below and hit that little bell button too. You don't want to miss a single show.